Marvel dropped a surprise Black Widow trailer in the middle of the night, but this morning I was ready first thing with my coffee to break it down for you. And even in this short teaser, there's still a ton of Easter eggs, references, and things that you might have missed. Welcome to Screen Crush. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Airy. So, the trailer starts with Natasha's VO from Endgame.
I used to have nothing, and then I got this.
And this plays over shots from various Avengers films and The Winter Soldier. Some of you may be confused, but this new movie does not raise Natasha from the dead. It takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. So in Civil War, she signed the Accords, but then she flipped on Thunderbolt Ross and went on the run. She even has dialogue with Ross at the start of this trailer.
I heard you had to leave in a hurry.
It's never easy these days.
But it's unclear if this is in the past or the present. Personally, I think this is her message to Ross right after she defects to Team Cap in Civil War. She says,
I've lived a lot of lives, but I'm done running from my past.
Which to me sounds like it's leading into her returning to Russia to finish up some unfinished business. But there are a lot of flashbacks in this trailer. The opening shot is of the Freedom Monument in Budapest. Now, you probably remember that Black Widow and Hawkeye have some history with this Hungarian city.
Just like Budapest all over again!
A long way from Budapest.
Now, I think there are a few shots in the trailer from this mission. Here we see a de-aged Thunderbolt Ross in front of a truck that reads, in Hungarian, Vargas Seafood Company. Now, Hungary is landlocked, so right away, that's a suspicious truck. So it's probably a cover. There are separate shots of a caravan of military vehicles escorting a civilian limousine. Now, it looks like Ross is a civilian escort, but this is where the timeline starts to get a little fuzzy. Now stay with me on this. We met Ross as a military general in The Incredible Hulk. Now, Incredible Hulk took place at the same time as Iron Man 2. We know that because you can see Fury monitoring the Hulk's attacks on Carver University in the background here. So how is Ross de-aged to look younger than he did in The Incredible Hulk? It could be that he is a general here, but he's just in a suit. Or maybe he was retired and came back to hunt Banner. So anyways, we see this same caravan behind Natasha near some wreckage. Now notice that she's wearing this armor, which is a new look for her. This is the same armor she's wearing at the end of the trailer when she jumps off this exploding skyship. So I think all of these shots are part of the Budapest mission. And at that point, Natasha was already an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So maybe the Budapest mission is a flashback to her time before she defected to S.H.I.E.L.D., or maybe this is just out of continuity. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. The movie is going to be based partially on the comic book Black Widow: Deadly Origins, and that book begins with Black Widow apprehending a spy on an airplane. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting, when she's flying through the air like so many MCU heroes, this soldier that she flies past may look familiar. That's your mom. Then she encounters Yelena. In the comics, she was trained in the Red Room like Natasha, and was supposed to assassinate her and become the new Black Widow. Now, if you remember in Age of Ultron, we saw flashbacks of Natasha's training. But we've also seen the Red Room elsewhere in the MCU. In Agent Carter, a spy named Dottie was a Black Widow. We see flashbacks of her training, including the ruthless way she murdered her best friend on command. So we can assume these widows have had similar training. And don't be surprised if one of these characters turns out to be a secret villain, but I'll get to that in a second. Now, from the looks of her apartment, she's also left the agency that they worked for. There's maps, photos, boxes of files laying around. So maybe she and Natasha were already working towards similar goals, bringing down the organization that founded the Red Room. The two of them fight, and they're mirror images of each other. And this is a great way to introduce us to the character because we see that she's similar to Natasha, she's also a badass, and she actually gets the better of Nat, which is surprising because Nat's picked up some new moves fighting superheroes, robots, and aliens. She calls her sis, but she's not her literal sister. Remember, Natasha doesn't even know the name of her father.
Because you know your daddy's name?
I didn't.
Pretty soon the two of them team up and chase another woman in black onto this pole. Now, this could be Rachel Weisz's character, Milena Volstikov, or another one of the assassins that we see elsewhere in the trailer. And then we're introduced to David Harbour's MCU character, the Red Guardian. He was the Soviet Union version of Captain America. Now, he does seem pretty strong, so maybe the Russians were able to duplicate the super soldier serum or steal some of Steve Rogers' blood from Howard Stark. Remember, Howard Stark's old partner was Anton Vanko. Now, he ended their partnership after Vanko sold the designs of the arc reactor on the black market. But maybe Vanko sold Cap's blood to the Soviets as well.
Oh, yeah.
Or we could finally have an answer to the question of who was the American in Stranger Things Season 3 post-credit scene. Now we know that Hopper was kidnapped by the Russians, given a knockoff super soldier serum, and Stranger Things takes place within the MCU. Huh? What do you think? Any takers? Huh?
This is wrong.
Anyways, we see Red Guardian in prison, but I don't think he's breaking himself out here. I don't think he's strong enough to blast through a steel door like this. Yelena and Natasha are breaking him out because they're getting a team together to oppose the Red Room. Now this scene looks like it's in the Red Room Command Center, judging by these maps. But on the table you'll also see a lot of antiquated materials like these slides. So this tells me that this scene is probably a flashback. Maybe it's Natasha receiving her last mission before she defects to S.H.I.E.L.D. There's also a chessboard because how can you be a Russian supervillain and not play chess? The white suit was originally featured in the Deadly Origins comic. It's a camo suit designed for snowy environments. And later in the trailer, you see Yelena firing a rocket toward this base. I think she's actually hitting the mountain to cause an avalanche that we see here. To me, this looks like an attack on the Red Room's compound, but I don't think it's the last sequence in the movie. I think that's going to be reserved for something personal with the secret villain that I mentioned earlier. Also, inside the compound, Red Guardian faces off against a new villain called Taskmaster. Taskmaster has the ability to copy anyone's moves that he ever fights. He hasn't been in a movie before, but he is one of the villains in the newest Spider-Man video game. Now, Taskmaster is using an elaborate compound bow, which tells me he's probably fought Hawkeye at some point in the past. So maybe he'll be one of the adversaries in that Budapest mission that will probably open up the film. Taskmaster also carries a shield, which you can see here. From the way it impacted the ground, it looks like that he threw it at Red Guardian, and then he knocked it away so hard that it embedded into the floor. So that gives you an idea of how strong Red Guardian is. Now, I keep calling Taskmaster a he because it's a man of the comics, but I think that he's actually being played by Rachel Weisz and that she's a secret villain pretending to be a man.
What?
You know, like Mask of the Phantasm. So why do I think this? 1, she's a great actor and would be a terrific villain. 2, Taskmaster's costume is very bulky and could hide feminine features. 3, kind of weird they haven't announced who's playing one of the movie's main antagonists. And 4, it's a spy movie, so there's going to be some double crosses. In this nice family dinner scene, Yelena is wearing the vest that Natasha was wearing in Infinity War. Now this could be bad news for her, like she's dying later in the movie and says, "Oh, Natasha, please take my vest, remember me." Or Natasha has the same vest and they just don't show it in the trailer. Now we don't know much about the Widow's past, which adds to her mystique, but what we've heard makes it sound like she's done some monstrous things.
Dracov's daughter. The hospital fire.
Are you sure you're ready for the world to see you as you really are?
Can you wipe out that much red?
I'm hoping that this movie rounds out the character and improves the Avengers films on rewatch and shows why she's always haunted by her past. In Avengers, she has red in her ledger. In Age of Ultron, she calls herself a monster.
You still think you're the only monster on the team?
And in Endgame, she wants to atone for all of her past sins. Remember, she met Clint because he was sent to kill her and recruited her instead. So there's always been this wider Black Widow mythos being hinted at in the MCU, and almost a decade later, we finally get to see it play out. So I'm pretty excited for this one. How about you? Let me know down in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.